All right, so section 4.4 is all about graphing linear inequalities. So these are just equations of a line, or they're not equations, they're inequalities. So it looks the same as what we're used to from the last, except this time instead of an equal sign, they have an inequality. Okay, you graph it the same way except for two things you have to do different. So it is going to be a solid line if you have a less than or equal to symbol or greater than or equal to symbol. So that's a solid line. And then it's going to be a dashed line if it's a less than or greater than. And so one way to remember this is if there is a line underneath the greater than or equal to or less than or equal to, that means it's going to be a solid line. And if there's nothing underneath, that's whenever it's a dashed line. Okay, so not only do you have to worry if it's a solid or a dashed line, but you also are going to shade on one side of it, not both sides. So it might look something like this. You might have a dashed line, so a dashed line, and then you're going to shade on one side. Okay, so or it could be on the opposite side. All right, and I'll show you how to figure out which side to shade in just a second. Okay, so now, here's our first problem. So is that y is less than negative 3x plus 4. So what is your slope? It is still the number in front of the x, so it's negative 3 or negative 3 over 1 if you would like. The y-intercept is at 0, 4. And then, is this a solid or a dashed line? And the answer is dashed because of this symbol right here, and that there's no line underneath, so then that means it's a dashed line. Okay, so you graph it the same way as you would the other lines that we've been doing in the previous sections. So you start at 0, 4. Oops, that's the wrong one. 0, 4. And the slope was negative 3, so down 3, right 1. Down 3, right 1. I'll do it a few times. And now here's where you get to practice your straight lines, but it makes it more complicated when it's dashed, I think. So you're going to make sure it's dashed. And it's going to look like that. Okay? So here's how you pick or figure out which side to shade. So we're either shading over here or over here. And how you do that is you pick a test point. So you could write this off to the side. So pick a test point. The most commonly used one, because it's the easiest, is 0, 0. But you have to pick a test point that is not on your line. Okay, if it's on the line, you have to pick something else. So let's pick our test point. Let's try 0, 0. Is that on the line? Okay, no it is not, so we can use it. So you're going to plug in, and that point is 0, 0. You're going to plug in 0, 0. So we'll write it here. Plug into inequality. And then I'll just write the rest of it. If true, shade that side. If false, shade the opposite side. Okay, these are your steps. So I'll work it out over here. So we picked the point 0, 0. So remember that's the x is 0 and the y is 0. And you're going to plug it into the original inequality. So it would be y is less than negative 3x plus 4. That's what we were graphing. I'm just writing it over here. You don't technically have to do this. So now let's plug in 0 for the x and 0 for the y. So 0 less than negative 3 times 0. We're plugging that in for the x plus 4. Okay, so then negative 3 times 0 is 0 plus 4. So that's just a 4 over on the right side. On the left is a 0. Is this true? Is 0 less than 4? Yes, it is. So since it's true, we're going to shade on the side of that test point. So we're going to shade over here. Okay, so So let me explain. You might not care, but I'm going to explain anyway because I'm a little bit of a math nerd. All right, so what this means is you can pick any point on this in this region over here in the shaded region, and it goes on forever to infinity. So any point over here, you can plug it into this inequality and it will be true. So that's the whole point of this, is to show that the answer is not the line, it is that whole region, which I think is kind of cool. All right, enough nerding out. Let's do another one. So what is your slope? For this one, it's 2/3, right? And your y-intercept is at 0, -5. So start at -5 and then go up 2/3, up 2/3. Okay, is this a solid or a dashed line? Well, there's that line underneath, so this would be a solid line. Okay, so looks like that. Okay, so pick your test point. Can we use the easy 0, 0? Yes, we can, so let's do it. So I'm plugging in 0 for the x and 0 for the y. So is 0 less than or equal to 2/3 times 0 minus 5? So that's just 0, right? So is 0 less than or equal to -5? No, it is 0 is not less than -5. So this is false. So we are not shading on the side of that test point. We're going to shade on the opposite side, which would be over here. Okay. All right, let's do another one. So we have our slope is 1/2. Our y-intercept is at 0, 1. So go ahead and start 0, 1. Slope is 1/2, so up 1/2. A few times. Is this a solid or a dashed? This would be solid, right? Because the line's underneath. Okay, so let's do our best to make a straight line. It's not great, but it'll do. Okay, can we pick our 0, 0 test point? Yes, we can. So plug it in. 0 is greater than or equal to 1/2 times 0 plus 1. Well, that's 0, right? So you have 0 is greater than or equal to 1. That is false, right? So 0 is not greater than or equal to 1. So we're going to shade on the opposite side of that test point. Okay, I'm going to skip letter D and E. I want to go to letter F. So letter F is a good one. So what is your slope on F? It is the number in front of the x, so it's 1, right? Your y-intercept, there's nothing here, so your y-intercept is at 0, right? Because this is like plus 0. Cool. So now start at 0, 0. Up 1/1 several times, right? Solid or dashed? It is another solid line. Okay, so it's gonna look something. Oh, that's really bad. Let's try one more time. If it's not good this time, I'm not redoing it. Oh, what the heck is going on? All right, my iPad glitched out on me. I have to manually do it. All right, that's better, but still not great. Okay. This time, when you pick your test point, notice that 0, 0 is on this line. So you cannot pick 0, 0. So you get to pick which point you want that is not on that line. It doesn't matter. I'm usually going to pick something that has a 0 in it. Let's just pick this point, right there. On the x-axis, that point is 4, 0. So we're plugging in 4, 0. That's your x and your y. So 0 for the y, and then is greater than or equal to, and it's just x, or you could put 1x. So just 4, right? Is that true? Is 0 greater than or equal to 4? The answer is no. So we're going to shade on the opposite side. Lots of fails on this one. Okay, let's do, ooh, these two are really good. So y is greater than 3. What is the slope? Remember from the last video, there's no x, so this is like, if I rewrote this, I could rewrite it as y is greater than 0x plus 3, right? So your slope would be 0, which means it's going to be a horizontal line. And your y-intercept is at 0, 3. Okay, so 0, 3. We said it's a horizontal line, so I'm just going to put a couple dots there. And this is a dashed line. Good. Okay, so dashed line. We can pick our test point, which is 0, 0. Right? So if we were plugging in 0, 0 to that, you would plug in 0 for the y. There is no x technically to plug in for, so you don't have to worry about it. So is 0 greater than 3? False. Not true, so that means we have to shade on the other side. Okay, here's another one. X is less than or equal to -5. So this is a vertical line, so it's going to go up and down, right? So that means the slope is undefined, and there is no y-intercept, right? So it starts at -5 on the x-axis, and it's just going to go up and down. Oh, yeah, it is a solid line. Good. So solid line. All right, now let's pick our test point. 0, 0. There's only the x to plug in for this, so 0 is less than or equal to -5. Another false. Man, I'm really killing it on these falses. I didn't mean to have so many. So then that means we're going to shade on the opposite side. Let's do one more. Let's do this one, and this will be our last one. So we have our slope is -3/2, right? And our y-intercept is at 0, -1. So start at 0, -1. And it's a dashed line. So down 3, right 2, down 3, right 2, down 3, right 2. Okay, so it's going to be a dashed line. Okay, can we pick our test point 0, 0? Yes. It does get very close to it, but that is not on the line, so we can pick it. So is 0 greater than, oops, my bad, greater than -3/2 times 0 minus 1. So is 0 greater than -1? Hey, we got a true. That's why I picked it. So this is a true. So that means we are going to shade on that test point side. So it looks like that. All right, that is it for Unit 4. Thanks for watching.